Latin America is a strategic region for innovation. I think we could see here how eager our investigators are for having and be part of the innovation. They even produce themselves the innovation. They are not just looking for sponsors to come with that. I've seen through my 30 years in the work the number of INDs and ENDs studies conducted in the region and the important number of contributions for the data of marketing applications. So, however, there is room for improvement. There is room for increasing that. So the potential for increase is important. And the interest in innovation is not only from the investigator side. I also want to mention the patient associations, for example. The example of rare diseases, they are really prompting a lot of investigation. I know that happens in Europe, in US, but here in Argentina is the same. I also want to mention about the regulators. We are very happy to see in the past recent years how they are really supporting innovation and changes and the evolution of our regulations independently of the governments or the changes in the government. That's something new for the region, and it's very good to have. Another important thing is about the medical excellence. I think that was very clear here. I want to say that anytime a sponsor is asking me, what are the country guidelines? I always end responding, the country follows US or European guidelines. There are no differences between the way our doctors work in the region versus other regions. Clearly not. And something very nice is to see the specialized sites in clinical trials. We know of investigators that began with one study, maybe 10 to 20 years ago, then added more studies. They began experts investigators, and built clinics or dedicated clinical research, like the case of Mario with the BAM site, and I know many of these sites here. And even more, now we have networks. So that's a perfect solution. When a CRO needs to place a feasibility in Latin America, let's go to the network. In that indication, that's a solution, and it's perfect to have. In terms of the quality is not only cost. Sometimes people say, oh, we go to Latin America because it's cheap. No, it's not the case. There could be some savings depending on where we are. But the reason is having quality data. And we're going to review a bit about inspection readiness. In terms of patient recruitment, and retention, I think we covered today quite a lot. I want to mention something interesting. It's about how we are geographically. We have big cities. We saw that before. So patients are concentrated in big cities. The access to the sites is very easy for them. They are there. We have, these big cities that are growing. Of course, the offer of patients is huge. They are really prompt to participate in clinical trials. Something that is important to say is about the high cost of some of the medications and the treatments, and clinical trials in many cases are a perfect solution for them. Okay, even patients that have insurances, those insurances do not ensure access to the treatments. We have in the region regulations that are at the moment evolving towards optimizing the process of review in terms of the quality of the review, in terms of the timeline involved for the review, in terms of the resources, and it's becoming more predictable. So one of the big issues in Latin America in the past, it was about predictability. So you submitted a protocol and it could take 3, 4, 5, you never know. But now the regulations are changing, and we will see the examples, and they have a specific timeline for approval, and that's working. I was president of the Chamber of CROs. We have two big groups, our associations, CROs and pharma. I working as president of that association. At that moment, the number of employees in the CROs, the big CROs, were around 1,000. We are now 3,500. So a significant increase in less than 10 years. You can see here the regulatory inspections associated with the NDAs I mentioned. FDA came to Argentina in the past 10 years, 37 site inspections, okay? In 91% had no official action indicated. And then we would review the inspections that Latina and Matt has been doing. There are around 1,000 active studies running and around 50,000 patients participating in clinical trials in different stages.